Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Pretty mean of your brother, though. Guy wasn't even being rude, just had the wrong number. Anyway, it's a good story to start our video. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Our home phone number was similar to the one from the gas company. The company filled stationary gas tanks and switched empty gas cylinders, had 24-hour home delivery. Decades ago, their phone number had one different digit in it than our number. This was still the era of rotary phones when it was harder to misdial. Yet we still got calls at home all the time asking for gas, to the point where we asked the phone company for a change and we got it. But before the change, one time my brother was studying late into the night when the phone rang at about 11 p.m., Very annoyed, he picked it up, knowing exactly what it was going to be, but he decided to play along with this one. Gas company? Yes, sir. Can I have a cylinder delivered to such and such address? Yes, sir. It'll be there in about an hour. Thank you. Good night, sir. With that, my brother kept on studying. Fast forward to around 1 a.m., the phone rings again. Gas company? Yes, sir. Where the hell's my gas? You mean it's not there? I'm so sorry, sir. Let me take care of that personally. It'll be there in an hour, and I'm terribly sorry for the inconvenience. Didn't get another phone call from that guy. He probably called the other non-24-hour company next morning. Many years later, my office phone number was nearly identical to a taxi company's. Got phone calls all the time asking for taxis to such and such address. Seems I can't escape the curse. But I'm not like my a-hole brother. I always let them know they were dialing the wrong number. And our second story. Enjoy your brand new rusty wheel slicer. It's been years, but I'm still worried that this person's going to hunt me down in my sleep. I used to work at a deli shop/cafe place just to make ends meet while I went to uni, and the owner of that place was a real piece of work. If you got on her bad side, you were on the crap list, and she would be both openly and passively aggressive with a general vibe that you were an incompetent idiot no matter what you did. I heard that woman scream at a 15-year-old on her second day because she had mixed up coffee and teacups, which differed in size by about an ounce. Just to give you an idea of her personality. After this whole experience, my dad told me that, as a general hint, it may be good to be suspicious if a workplace hires exclusively teen girls with no experience, because they're very unlikely to recognize crappy workplace treatment. There were two people in this place who didn't take her crap: me, a mid-20s recovering addict who's seen way worse, and a 45-year-old Iranian man who told her she could go F herself when she berated him for not being willing to come in early to his 11-hour shift to prep ingredients, off the clock, of course. I like that dude. With the stage set, on to the malicious compliance. When I started, this place desperately needed a new wheel meat slicer. The one they had made a constant screeching noise and drove everyone crazy. About a month and a half into my employment, they got one. Industrial grade, cost $5,000. Both looked and worked accordingly. Amazing piece of kit. As we were all celebrating and unpacking it, I flipped through the instruction book to look up how it works and specifically how to clean it, as there were quite a few parts. Manual says to clean everything detachable thoroughly, but that the wheel itself should be cleaned by letting it run on very low speed, with safety precautions, using a cloth and alcohol-based cleaning agent on the exposed part. There were some pictures and detailed instructions on how to do this, and it explicitly stated not to take the whole wheel off and deep clean it, as this would remove the wheel lubricant/anti-corrosive agent and risk damage to the machine, and to especially not let water or any cleaning agents get into the machine without making sure to thoroughly replace any lubricant. I was working the evening shift, so 99% of the time it was up to me to clean it. The instructions is how I clean the machine because I trust the designer to know how to clean it. Or I do for about 2 days until my boss sees me, asks what the F I'm doing and why I'm not taking the wheel off to clean it. She berates me about food safety and hygiene standards, telling me how disgusting I am for doing it this way. I stand my ground and inform her I do it this way because of the instructions that I'm following the manual and explain the reason behind it. If we scrub it down, especially the inner part, the grease will go away a lot faster and we'll risk damage to the machine. She basically tells me to shove it and do it her way. Now, I'm not going to ruin a $5,000 thing because one woman doesn't understand how lubrication works, but the very next day, my manager sees me clean the machine and gives me an extremely condescending talk down on how this isn't how we approach hygiene and how boss told me you don't seem to understand food safety. My explanation falls on deaf ears again, and I'm also informed not only am I expected to take the wheel off and scrub it at the end of the day, but after every use. Boss also wants me to make sure I spray off the inside section to ensure there's no bacteria in there, with some hints that there'd apparently been a whole colony of life growing in there due to my 2-day negligence. She wants me to spray soap and water mixture into the cogs of a machine they just bought. The blade is stainless steel, but the effing cogs aren't. Effing fine. If that's what you want me to do, that's what I'll do. Every day, 5 times a day, I take that effing machine apart and scrub it down. Every day I see that lubrication disappear more and more, and after a week it's all gone, eventually becoming replaced by growing patches of rust. I feel bad for the machine, but I do as I've been told. I only work 6 days a week, so every day I come in after my break thinking that surely yesterday my manager would have reacted. Nope, she takes it apart just like I do, clean it like I do, doesn't seem to think twice about the fact that this brand new machine is rusting apart in front of our eyes. In fact, she goes the extra mile and also scrubs the cog itself, which is probably why a year or so worth of lubricant disappeared in 1 week. The thing about rusty machinery is that it usually works up until a certain point, but once it reaches that point, there's no going back. One day I turn it on and it makes a screeching noise I can only imagine came from the soul of this bit of kit, wondering why God has forsaken it, and it's like the clocks all stop. My coworker in the pasty section comes over to ask what the F that noise is. My boss and manager come into the room with the same question, and I just shrug and slice my salami. Boss tells her co-owner to go get some lubrication for the gears, and after a minute he puts some effing spray-on oil lube in front of me and tells me to lube the gears up. I ask him where the lithium lubricant paste is, since according to the instructions that's what you need, and he seems flabbergasted that putting something made for hinges and ball bearings isn't appropriate for a meat slicer. 2 days and some tinnitus later, he's acquired some grease and then proceeds to be stumped when I let him know I'm not going to stop doing my regular job to spend 30 minutes greasing up this machine unless someone else takes over my station or they pay me overtime. My boss is meanwhile demanding to know why I haven't told them we needed to stock up on lithium grease, which I don't even bother to respond to. I make sandwiches. I'm not your mechanic. I left that job a few weeks later, and when I did, the machine was still crying the song of its ancestors every time we turned it on, and we were still scrubbing it down from the inside out, daily, of course. I've since then gotten a sneaking suspicion I know what happened to its predecessor, and me and my dad, who's actually a mechanic, still laugh about it sometimes. My boss did ask, rhetorically, at one point, how the hell the machine got to that stage so fast. I answered that it's probably because we've been scrubbing the lubrication and corrosion protection off several times a day, and I take great pleasure in the memory that she completely ignored me. It's the only time while I was there that she didn't snap back at me, and I like to think she remembered back to when I explicitly told her that if we clean this thing in that way, this is exactly what would happen. Overall, I don't think a 5K machine would make or break anything, but F me, did that feel good. I feel sorry for the poor deli slicer. R.I.P. Spinny Dude. And our last story. We are calling police. So a while back when I was living in an HOA, we got fined and harassed by a group of HOA board members for the most insane reason. I was probably 17 years old at the time. My friend and I decided we would like to swim in the community pool, small salt pond with rarely any guests around early morning. The pool is gated with a tiny little metal fence that you can easily step over, which we did. We get into the pool area, set down our towels, and head to the stairs that lead into the pool. Upon our entry into the water, we notice a very strong chlorine smell and debated whether or not to get in before a lady yells to us, "Hey guys, the pool's being shocked," or something. There was no sign or anything indicating the pool was closed. We get out and leave. The next morning, there's a fine on the door, $75 and $10 charged each day the fine was not paid. We went with my mom to the board office to find out what the fine was for. Lo and behold, it was for stepping over the fence and trespassing into the pool. My mom was threatened and told to stop screaming after softly asking what the fine was for. Keep in mind, this was all being recorded. My mom politely said to these leathery, dinosaur-looking women with their big Gucci sunglasses, "I'm not screaming. I would like to know what rules were broken." The palest, skinniest dinosaur then stood up, pushed my mom, and screamed, "Help! Call the police!" as the others yelled profanity at us. To this day, we still listen to the recording and laugh our butts off. Did end up paying the fine, but whatever. Adding for some more detail, there was no sign of pool closure, no lock gate, fence is about a foot high, there was no physical sign or digital alert of pool closure. Hope this helped clear the air. Also, this was years ago, so nothing can be done. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.